All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Go with the Flow. I'm your host, Falarin Okulaja, here with two very special guests, a second repeat episode, back to back. And I just asked you this 30 seconds ago, but act like I didn't ask you the question. Do you know when the first episode was?
Well, I just said May 2022, and you told me it was April, so I think it's April 2022.
So the first episode, yes, was April 15, 2022, which is kind of crazy. That is almost 3 years ago, when you put it in perspective, we've been friends since freshman year.
Yeah.
So that means we've been friends for almost 6-7 years at this point,
Yep.
which is just kind of insane. But we've Mike and Finn on the show. Mike, Finn, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Happy to be here.
Great to be here.
First place that I even want to start, which is super duper random, and I just mentioned this briefly beforehand. I wake up this morning, I look at my phone, I see a text from my brother, and it says, let me read it verbatim. His text says, wait, where'd it go?
Maybe found it.
He said, I can't find my car. And I was like, wait, what's going on? Long story short, his car got stolen overnight. He lives in Philadelphia. Not very ideal. I'm someone who, even the slightest inconvenience to start my day will ruin my entire day. And so I'm just curious for you guys. Obviously, maybe not like car getting stolen level. Are there certain things that will happen for you at the start of your day that will just kind of throw off your entire day?
I think, first of all, I was just saying this before. I think it's funny. If my car was gone, I would have think I parked it like somewhere else. It probably would have taken me 2 days to realize that I had actually gotten stolen. I think I more sometimes just like avoid the issue. So if it's like a Saturday, I wake up, it's a nice day. I walk up, my car's stolen. I'm like, it seems like a
Tomorrow, probably.
So I think I just push it to the days where like, all right, I'm actually gonna have to figure some of my stuff out. But I don't know. I'm not a big like day ruiner, obviously, unless it's like something drastic. But I think if I'm prepared to have a good day, it's tough to get in the way of that.
I'm kind of the same. The first thing that comes to mind is we went to the gym yesterday, and we were at Lifetime, and it's a great gym, but they had no hot water in the morning.
Ooh.
So it was like 9:30, and we finished our workout, and obviously pretty sweaty, and was looking forward to the shower. And they have great showers, and all of a sudden it's just freezing cold, and we find out that it's going to be that there is no hot water. So minor inconvenience didn't ruin my day. We actually manned up and went in anyway, basically like cold plunge. But no, overall I agree with Finner. I think
It's the most first world issue I've ever
yeah, it is.
No, but honestly,
But no, we said minor inconvenience. Minor inconvenience.
Because
Fair,
you'll
that's
hear mine.
fair.
Because I have 3 that come to mind.
Wow.
One, with my new job, now I have to take the subway to work.
Okay, yeah,
So
I
when
walk, yeah.
Right when I get to subway and I see it pulling away, that is
Brutal.
annoying. Like that actually pisses me
Oh,
off.
that's a bad
So that one sucks.
Just have to wait another minute and a half.
I know, but I
I'm
know,
kidding, I'm kidding.
I know, but it's such a
So true.
trivial one, but it affects me. Another one, second one. At my old job, there was this tea that I loved, and my routine was the same every single day. I would get in at like 7:30. At 8 a.m., I would go get my tea, the exact same tea every day. The days I would show up and that tea was gone, when I tell you that shit would ruin at least hour and a half.
What kind of tea?
It was this like mint something herbal tea that was
Nice.
just phenomenal. So that was one. And then the latest one is at my new job, the snack shelf is always stocked. And I've now gone on to seaweed. It's my favorite snack. Don't make that face.
Great tasting, terrible smelling.
Well, eat some gum after or something. But no. But
I don't-
the days I show up and I look into the office and I don't, that's the first thing I check every time I get into the
Snacks.
office. When the snack bar. And when there's no seaweed, it just kind of takes me off of my vibe.
Darn.
So I can't imagine if my car ever got stolen.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would react.
I think for me, it's like if little things pile up, then I'm like,
Yeah.
today's not for me.
True.
And then go from there.
Maybe a stub toe in the morning.
Stub toe.
Those they get to you. They get to you. But okay, so I know these two from college. We all went to Princeton together. The first episode we recorded, do you remember some of the different things that we talked about? Just like transporting back to that point in time.
Yeah, I think it was just like where we were at that point of our lives. We just finished our senior thesis. And, you know, that definitely was a very stressful period. I think especially for me with the time I allowed myself to write it. But
Only Finn would submit a thesis late and still get whatever, an A or A minus.
You wrote a 50-page thesis in 9 days. And for anyone listening, the first episode is, to this day, the funniest episode of Go with the Flow that I've ever recorded. So please go back and listen. There are some very good stories on there.
But yeah, I think it's crazy that, I mean, you mentioned 3 years. because it's like, I mean, you look back and yeah, that seems like so long ago, but also it doesn't at all.
Agreed.
Like when I
Agreed.
see you guys, I still feel like we were back in
Agreed.
that time of our lives, and I don't think maybe because none of us have changed, like from a personality perspective. Obviously, what we're doing has, but I don't know. It's like a long time, but then at the same time, not as well.
I feel like a lot of the sorry to cut you off. I feel like a lot of the stories too were just recent memories,
Oh.
freshman, sophomore, or yeah, like first year, second year, third year, just like hilarious things like the one midterm or final exam that we showed up to
30
late.
minutes
Yeah.
late. Yeah.
or that I just missed an exam.
Missed an exam,
was in
overslept one.
Montana. Just in the bathroom, being like, like, it's like, what's wrong? I'm like,
Just the dreaded, yeah.
supposed to be taking an exam. They're like, when? In an hour?
You're like not in the state. So again, hilarious episode. When it comes to the thesis specifically, when you look back 3 years now, are you glad that Princeton makes us do a thesis?
I can go. I'll go first. I think so because I think it's one of those. Obviously, if you graduate from Princeton without a thesis, it's a sense of accomplishment. But I think looking back and realizing how much work, whether it's 9 days or whether it's 6 months, I think it's a very impressive piece of work that you really did. You really do put blood, sweat, and tears into it, in my opinion. And I think just to be able to look back and even talk about it day to day and just be like, yeah, I wrote a thesis. And I think when people hear the word thesis, it's like, oh,
They perk up a little.
oh, like what'd you have to write about? And I mean, to this day, mine was more about a hobby. That's still a hobby to this day. And I think overall it was a great experience, and I'm glad they make us do it.
Yeah. I think, I mean, you always look back on those things and you're glad you did it because it's like,
Also true.
you don't have to feel the actual work and stress that was involved in that situation. But I think I'm glad we did it. I think it's cool to have like a published thesis.
Mhm. People are probably reading yours all the time.
All the time. All the time. The one thing I would take away is, remember that exam? I don't know if but like,
Comprehensive.
oh my
We'd spoken
God.
about this, yeah.
Just, we already passed all these classes. They're almost being like, we don't trust our testing enough. We need to test you again at the end of this. I remember Mike and I the night before that exam, because that was the time we just finished our thesis. We were like, we're so done.
Yeah, you're done college, basically.
And they're like, there's this comprehensive exam. We studied for like an hour. And then it was like, what was the...
it was some event at
what's
college.
the day where...
Dean's Date?
Dean's Date.
Oh, it was Dean's Date, yeah.
And we were like, it's our last Dean's Date.
Like half our class is like grinding in the dorm.
Yeah,
It was like, yeah.
I mean, I think we got like all the boys out that night, but we went and literally like studied, I think, for an hour for it. And we're like, I feel like we'll pass.
Which is the right decision making, because honestly,
1,000,000%.
I bet again, you graduate, you get the degree. And funny enough, I've also kind of changed my tune about the thesis. In the moment, all the episodes I've listened back to from that point in time was me bitching and moaning.
I remember, not in a bad way, but
yeah, because it was like, oh,
yours was a little bit different, right?
yeah, because it was neuroscience. I was neuroscience.
Not
I
a big
ran an
deal.
experiment, and that's another one of those things, along with the thesis, where when you say it, people are so much more impressed than they should be. I'm like, I don't know that much neuroscience, but my Princeton degree does say neuroscience. And then when you say you wrote a neuroscience thesis, people are like, oh my God, he's so
Yeah.
intelligent. I'm like,
Except yours was like 20 pages.
it was like 15 pages because I ran an experiment on it. But yeah, it's the type of thing where I am now glad that I did it, just because I can say I did it, and because I have no plans on ever writing another one. And it's one of those things where there's never, if I wasn't forced to do it, I wouldn't have done it. But kind of like you both said, the fact that every single one of us has this published piece of work out there that we can always reference, talk about the process of putting it together and actually just finally publishing it, pretty cool. So to all the students who are currently there going through the thesis, it
Oh, I
sucks
guess it's
in
like right now.
it's,
Like
it's
right in
yeah,
the thick
it's
of it.
thesis season. They're in the grind of it.
Yeah.
It sucks in the moment, but when you do it and you publish it and you take your little picture in front of whatever Nassau Hall with it, it'll be worth it.
You can laugh at certain moments when you look back, because it's like there's so many times where, yeah, I mean, you're grinding, but it ends up being, there's a lot of things that end up being pretty funny about it.
I think it's a fine line too of when you look back. Like, I think we all maybe did a good job of like towing the line of making sure we were working hard, but then also like enjoying our time there while we had it, because it's such an easy environment to like, with the curve grading, you're always can be better. I feel like in those classes, and you're competing against obviously some very smart individuals, but it's like when you look back on your college time, you want it to be kind of a dual experience of I at least tried, because I know it can be tough looking back and be like, I feel like I could have put in more work there, like academics wise. But then there's also like, I want to have fun with it too. And I feel
Mhm.
like it's tough when you see people going through it now. I can never tell whether they're like actually enjoying the college experience or just like so worried about what job they're going to get, which to me is so dumb. But
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue. And even the one thing I'll quickly say on that is I speak to college students all the time because they'll reach out. When I was at Goldman, they would reach out trying to get to Goldman. And even now that I'm at my startup, I still have a ton of people. I don't know why I'm surprised. I thought it would kind of die down, but people are still reaching out to me every day trying to like ask me questions about it and figure out how they can get their foot in the door somewhere. And the one thing I always tell them is just enjoy the 4-year undergrad experience. It's so unique. You never get those years back. And I definitely think us three, for sure, we made the most out
I
of
think
it.
so.
But speaking of, so a lot has happened since the last time we recorded. You know, new cities, friends getting married, job changes, girlfriends. We'll get into all of these. But kind of even starting first where you just landed with the jobs. I've switched jobs, you've switched jobs, you're at the same job that you've been at. When you look at the last 2 years, how they've happened out of college, have things gone the way you would have expected work wise?
I think mine's kind of simpler, so I'll go first. They did. I think for me, I was a 21-year-old freshman. So I took my 2 gap years in British Columbia, came as a 21-year-old freshman. I think I obviously wanted to pursue hockey, but I think there was a moment in time during my first and second year where I knew that I probably wasn't going to play afterwards. And I think for me, it was time to start thinking about my career right away or like my career right after graduating. So I was one of like the traditional paths of going into investment banking, just like a lot of other students did. And again, I made that decision because I didn't think that I would play hockey after college, and that's not how it has to be. That's just how I thought about it. And so I would say it definitely has lived up to the expectations. The only thing that was different was that my internship was during COVID, so it was online. And people always talk about the internship for investment banking or any internship in New York City junior year. It's like a lot of fun. So we didn't get that. So that's not what I really expected. It was just from home and just grinding. But I would say other than that, it's been a great place to begin. I'm in my third year, and away from that, I think I've made a lot of new friends from work, and we're really, really tight, along with people from Princeton and just other people that I've met in the city. But I think overall, it's definitely probably a little bit of a different path than both of you. But I would say it's about what I expected.
yeah, I mean, mine's definitely different. I don't think I mean, Mike went through the banking process like so many people do from Princeton. I was like, never doing that. At that time, I mean, I did a fifth year after Princeton, which I think was a great experience because from athletics perspective, it was maybe a little bit more like the conference we played in, like your buildings were like had a ton of fans every night, which is a little different than the ECAC. Um, and maybe there's more of an emphasis on like hockey at Vermont, in terms of like the hours that we were allowed to put in, even with like the Ivy League restrictions. Was very glad I did that, but also realized how much I missed about Princeton, like the dual side of things. Um, like how smart people are away from the rink. Like you could have conversations with kind of anyone, super interesting people. That was the biggest thing is like there are so many like really, really cool people. Not that there weren't at Vermont, but it was just like more hockey focused, I would say. And I realized I missed the other side of it, and then played like low level pro for like 3 months after that season, and then was kind of like at peace with the fact that I was done with hockey, which I had never felt that feeling before. And that was important for me, um, because like I probably knew I would never play in the NHL, but it was still like I wanted to play until I didn't anymore. And I didn't want to feel like I'd left anything on the table. And then so when it came to that, it was like, geez, what do I do now? And I remember just kind of getting into it. I'd seen what all of that was a benefit too, that I'd seen what all of our friends had done, like going to consulting, banking. But it's obviously a lot more difficult to get into these roles when like you didn't do the internship. I'd never done any of those internships or anything, and just kind of like saw what different people are doing, and I actually realized that like I think I would like banking more so the like learning part of
It's
it.
words I never expected to hear from you.
Yeah, exactly, never. But like kind of stumbled into it a little bit for sure, but like now very happy that I did. Like I actually like it, which is awesome. It's obviously long hours, but um I think it's just been like a weird like I talked to these to our point earlier, I talked to these kids who are going through like their sophomores in college, and I'm like, I don't even know what to tell you because I didn't do anything that you're about to do. And I think it's obviously important to get on it early, but like the reason I think I'm happy with it is because I found it more naturally than like my parent telling me or my older sibling telling me, because that's what I feel like a lot of these students, it's like because that process starts so early, it's basically like you have to be told by an older sibling or a parent.
Yeah, you need a couple mentors.
Yeah, and it's almost like this is what you should do, which I think is smart, but it's also like it's not as organic, and kids get burnt out, I think.
For sure.
Yeah, it is interesting how early the process is becoming. And exactly like you just said, I doubt there's a ton of kids who something like banking or consulting is their passion. It definitely is just the fact that they see a lot of
I
people.
mean, I
It's
wouldn't
a
say
career
banking
opener,
is, like,
yeah.
my pure passion. But
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying like the ones who when they're freshmen and sophomores and they're starting to look that way, it's definitely because of what they see other
For
people
sure.
doing,
For
which
sure.
there's nothing wrong with. At this
Agreed.
point, you need to plan ahead, especially with how early the deadlines
Yeah.
are. That's why I love your story so much because of how obviously it makes it that much harder to break in, but it shows it's not impossible to actually get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
And I'm sure when you look back at it now, you're probably happy that, or actually, I'll have you answer,
Yeah.
but I'm curious if you're happy you did it the way you did because when you were freshman, sophomore, junior, you weren't like stressing about, oh, I need to get a finance internship.
1,000,000%. It wasn't even like anything on my mind. Like, and it's more so the fact that like I think because I went after it because I liked it. If I went into it and like I think if I did one of those junior internships, I would have bombed it because I just wouldn't. I would have been like, I want to leave as early as I can to go skate at the rink, and then that would have looked terrible. And it's almost like the idea of when you get a certain opportunity, you want to be make sure you're in the right frame of mind to take advantage of that opportunity. So it's like I don't know. I think it benefited me, but I also, as you said, it's impossible to like get in now. So
Yeah.
it's a fine line. I think it's just the problem with the recruiting process of like it just I think eliminates a lot of super strong candidates from these roles. When they have to know what they want to do when they're basically a freshman in college now.
Yeah.
Yeah, half the battle is knowing deadlines, is what I tell
Yeah.
people. I'll have very qualified juniors reach out to me, and I'm like, "You're about a year and a half too late,"
Yeah.
which is kind
Crazy.
of
Crazy.
Yeah.
just kind of crazy. I don't know if I knew that you played semi or pro hockey for 3 years.
Yeah, it was like it's
Or
I
3
think
months.
The keyword semi.
Seven's exactly. Yeah, it's like it's a league called like the ECHL. So it's like the NHL,
Mhm.
the AHL, what like core like it's the league below, and then the ECHL is still an affiliate of that NHL team, but it's like their second. So it definitely. I mean, I had a great time.
Pretty cool. What city?
I lived in Indianapolis for
When
3.5
the fuck did this
months.
happen?
So that's another thing. Like I thought it was. I love that. Like I look back on the time of my life, and obviously I wasn't like traveling through like Asia or something, but I was just finished my season at Vermont, drove 14 hours in my car to Indianapolis, just played there for like 3 months, lived in the Midwest. I'd never been to the Midwest.
This is so
Was
rad.
living in like and I loved it. Like definitely maybe
Do you live in a hotel?
no, they had like a team. It was like a great setup. Like they had a team building.
Oh,
No,
nice.
nobody paid rent. They like everything in the building, gym, sauna. It was actually great. And then the games were awesome, which I did not expect. Like 6,000 fans, and that was like all it fit. And they would like go nuts. But it's a lot more like fighting and stuff like that. I remember one of the games. I was like, I'm gonna fight tonight. I'm gonna fight that guy. The guy besides like fit.
I did not know. Did you know all of this?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
guessing you did.
Yeah.
I didn't. I literally knew none of that. That's awesome. And now again, I'm such a proponent of just like doing things.
Oh,
The fact
yeah.
that you have that experience, you can speak about it. Now you probably made some good connections. You lived in Indianapolis. Like,
well, that's the thing.
just live your life. You
Yeah,
never know where
agreed.
things are gonna take you. Don't
Yeah.
be so stringent. Which I mean, the only thing I'll say about my job situation is I would have never thought I would be at a tech startup when I left Princeton, but I'm so glad that I did because I've kind of left the mindset of this very like narrow
Yeah.
path of what
We're in our
life-
20s.
of what life needs to be. That's why I'm starting this brand, Reps Capital. Like, just take chances, do different things. You never know what's gonna hit and what'll work. But
Yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, yeah, it was. I'm just glad. Like, the thing I appreciate most about those situations, is, like the people you meet along the way. Like, I have now just these friends that I probably never would have met, and like I still keep in touch with some of them. And obviously, it's like a random situation, but like I love that, like being able to like go somewhere and be like, hey, this guy's in this city, this girl's in this city at the same time. I can reach out to them. I feel comfortable doing that. I would have been able to do that if I didn't like do this random thing.
100%. And then also with all this, we've now all ended up in New York City. How long do you think we'll be in this wonderful city?
I mean, I'm from the Philly area, so I'm pretty close. My parents are pretty close. They come here all the time. I love New York. I don't think I'll leave for a while. I don't think I'll leave until I'm truly ready. I just feel like there's a lot to do here, and there's like different places I want to live within New York City, whether it's Manhattan or Brooklyn. Like, again, I think it's one of those places where I have to be ready to leave. Do I see myself raising a family here? Probably not. But do I see myself leaving in the next like 3 to 5 years? Probably not. So maybe 5 to 10 year range. But it's one of those things. Just do things. Like, you never know when an opportunity comes up. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to go be like my brother, move to California. But I can see myself being here for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I mean, I've been here for a lot less time than you guys have. I lived in Chicago before this. I actually loved Chicago. Had a great time there. And I think for me, like, since basically I left high school, I've moved around like a ton. Lived in Toronto. Most summers, my family moved to California, so lived there for a little bit. Lived in Princeton, Vermont, Indianapolis, Toronto. Again, like kind of all over. I was always had a kind of a bag packed. And so I feel like I've actually enjoyed that in terms of like moving around and getting these different. Like when I moved to Chicago, I didn't know one single person. And that honestly was an awesome experience. I guess I knew one guy, and it was just an awesome experience because you're like, all right, I got to figure it out by myself. And I think that's something that I hadn't done in the past because always when I go into a situation, I have 20 friends automatically through my hockey team. So that was different, but I actually really enjoyed that. I love New York. So, I mean, I just love the fact that we have a ton of like people that we know, not only from like school, but also like from Toronto. A lot of my, like my sister, she just is moving back to Brooklyn in a month. And there's just like, a lot of people. But yeah, I don't know. I like Mike said, I couldn't see myself raising a family here.
Yeah, and I think
my girlfriend's also in Chicago, so that's like different as well.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, and even we'll get to the girlfriends too, because everybody decided to wake up one day and get a girlfriend and didn't tell me we were all getting girlfriends. But another thing that's kind of actually one thing that I love that you just said is you put yourself out there and you move to a place where you didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
Which is also super duper important and key because this isn't what I've done, but I know I would be comfortable doing this if it came.
You would be the best person at that.
I mean, you have 10 different friend groups here.
But even just again, I feel like so many people are scared about, I'm moving to this new city. How am I going to meet people? When you put yourself out, it's that whole cliche saying, if you need to be comfortable being uncomfortable, that's where the most growth is going to happen by far. And so I love that you did it and you obviously had a great time. And now you probably feel confident if you had to move anywhere else, you could replicate the same thing. I mean, I moved to New York. We all moved to New York because that's where the opportunities were. And there's a lot of friends and people that I knew here. But at the same time, I tried to be intentional about, okay, yes, I have this group of Princeton friends, but let me also put myself in new environments, meet new people.
I feel you've met a lot of new people.
And I've been able to meet a lot of new people. So definitely something that's important. And then another kind of thing that we spoke about briefly before the start of this is moving to the city. I've started to do a lot of new activities and hobbies and working out.
I have not.
Wait, what were you mentioning about working out in life?
Okay, working out. That's that I.
Let's go. Sorry. The question was basically like how things. I forget how I even asked it, but essentially how you've changed since college. I don't remember what I asked.
Yeah, I mean it's also fair because we played like we knew one type of activity our whole life essentially. It was like hockey, lift, and like that was it. So it's good. I mean it's a fair question.
But yeah, I'm trying to do more hobby. Like I think I was just walking by. There's a tennis court right near my place. It's like Washington Park. I don't know. I looked at, but I was like, I would love to start doing stuff like that because I feel like New York culture, which I'm a big fan of, but it's like work the whole week, get out on the weekend, just go to the bar, which is like kind of a thing. But I think for us, definitely the only thing I've not missed from hockey, but is like that thing of you get to the weekend and it's like you have something like you're super, super pumped for and super excited for.
When you see me on a Friday night, you're
but I'm like, I'm very excited for the weekend for sure. But I think there's something where like, it'd be fun to be able, like, I would love to do like a rec league with my friends on like a Wednesday. Like that's something I'd love to do. It's just tough with the hours for it. But like, yeah, I'm trying to join I think I am joining a hockey league that'll play on Saturdays. So just getting more like, trying to do more stuff in
experiences.
But I'm also the worst at the other way. I'm like, I just want to go.
What was
beers?
But what was the lifetime workout? I guess that you guys.
No, so yeah, well, I will say I had a lot of trouble with this the first year I lived here because of work. So it's like if you're working, 60, 80, 90 hours a week, it's the last thing you want to do is some sort of activity. It's true. It's like Monday through Thursday grind, Friday, Saturday drink, and like you repeat it. And like, no, but that's I feel like that's everyone. A lot of people go through that in New York City when you first move here. It's like that grind of and then you're sometimes like 3 nights in a row, and then after, at least for me and my roommate Mark was also a hockey guy our first year.
Shout out Mark.
Yeah, but at a certain point we're like, okay, we gotta. There's other things out there, like maybe start taking it easy, but I guess that kind of leads into how I've definitely started to enjoy going to the gym a lot more, classes. My girlfriend's a huge part of that. She definitely got me into that.
Shout out Kristen.
Shout out Kristen. She definitely got me into that big time, but I'll also say one thing I may be doing today is going to the Russian Turkish baths. That's a fun activity. If you guys are free after this, yes. You've been. So I might go. I have a good buddy at work that we've gone once. They do serve beer there. Yes.
That's his one requirement.
But no, I think that obviously like racket sports, pickleball, golf simulators, like those are all pretty fun activities. Finn, I know you went laser tag the one weekend. I would do that. That's electric. But I agree. It's the experiences that I think a lot of people are searching for, and it's always a great time and something different than just like getting hammered on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
We say that, but we do that but it's like
both.
Yeah. But with the workout stuff, yeah, I mean, I definitely, like when I was in Chicago, I had a gym in my building, which is super helpful because I knew if I got home before like midnight, I'd just go down and do like a half-hour workout. Whereas you can't do that in New York because it's just like you go to the gym, it's 15 minutes away. It's just a little bit more of an ordeal. And so it's been super helpful as Mike and I will do workouts in the morning. But it's hilarious because I honestly, before this, I think I've been to like one workout class in my life.
And before I moved to New York, I hadn't really done that.
And they kill me. Like these workout classes murder me.
Which ones do you do?
Any of them. Like
Finn was scared to do berries with me the one morning.
I'm not
berries.
doing
I don't love. At this point, I've also gotten to the point where I've also gotten really into the workout classes.
What are you doing?
So I've started to do yoga frequently.
This is what I respond
and then
to.
I've done boxing 3 Fridays in a row now. And I put on my close friend story yesterday, a picture of me like in the boxing gym.
I saw it.
I put my caption was, they're already calling me Floyd Mayweather Jr. because he's already Junior, so Junior.
Yeah.
And he goes, who is calling you that? But no, it's fun.
Are you doing that at the Canal spot?
No, I'm doing. It's called Bout Fight Club in Fight Out, which has been great, by the way, because it's not like a Rumble. People are like, oh, are you doing Rumble?
Right.
No, Rumble's for like
Rumble's
girls trying to look cute in the little workouts.
It's not Rumble.
What do you mean?
No, it's just a big joke.
When I tell you the workout that the guy put me through yesterday, I'm still sore from it. So I've done it 3 Fridays. The first 2 Fridays was this girl. Yesterday I show up and it's a dude at the front. I'm like, who is this stranger? I have him like tie my wraps. Then he gets up and I see he's the instructor. He like put us through this circuit. He made us do 4 different stations. It was the hardest thing ever. And so I went full effort throughout because I was like, oh, I need to good impression.
Yeah.
We do it once. He goes, again. I said, what? Hardest workout I've done. And then it's also just been like punching a bag is so cathartic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually like working on your form. I finally ordered gloves. So boxing I've really enjoyed.
Interesting.
I've been doing hot yoga, which
Which class?
I go to ID.
I just did that with Kristen.
There you go.
It is so hard.
It's hard, but it's fun.
I can't do hot.
It's like 100 degrees in there.
The heat gives me claustrophobic. I just want to get it.
But if you
great class.
If you push yourself.
When do you go? We should go together.
So this is why it's frustrating, and this is me calling out ID Hot Yoga because they disrupted my entire schedule. So the reason
Little inconveniences,
yes. The reason I even started boxing is because I did hot yoga 7 a.m. every Friday. ID Hot Yoga and Phi Dive for a month and a half in a row.
Wow.
I show up one day, and towards the end of the class, the instructor's like, oh, by the way, we're going to push the 7 a.m. class to 7:30. I need to be in the office by 8:45 every day. 7:30 is way too late. 7 is perfect, and I could still get in.
And you could still not be a sweaty. It takes time for the sweat to go away. Yeah,
exactly. And so after that, it literally I was so pissed. It disrupted my whole flow.
That stinks, yeah.
So now I've had to find random pockets to do yoga, but I really like it, and I need to find another.
You would do Tuesday 7 a.m. if I don't know.
So that's the thing. It's like I'm thinking of now doing another early morning because I've started doing also basketball like 7 a.m. So I need to figure out when I want to do the yoga. So it's just been frustrating because it disrupted my whole.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it did that though, because I've now found boxing, which I also.
There you go. Everything happens for a reason.
So yeah, the workout classes are amazing because I also have gotten tired of the monotony of just like going.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And you don't
You need something
yourself.
new, like
And you don't
change. You
push
need
yourself.
change.
Exactly.
You're like, do I really need to do this last rep?
Exactly. And when there's an instructor who's like,
Yeah.
again, I'm like, bro, I got you.
The
I'm going.
instructor told me I was embarrassing him the other day.
I did.
Have y'all done? You've done solid core, right?
Yeah, it's so hard.
That
I don't
shit is
know.
hard.
Finn actually tried to do solid. Can you tell your solid core story when he tried to go in Soho?
Oh yeah,
It's not
you
that, I
heard-
mean-
you texted the group chat. So it was like Saturday or maybe a Sunday. I don't know. And Christian and Maya were doing the class. It was
Shout
like
out
a
Christian
night-
and Maya.
shout out
Everyone gets
Christian and
shouts.
Maya.
Shout outs.
And Christian was like, "Oh, it's this one," and I think he knew I was going to go to the wrong one because he was like describing it, and then I just was like shopping around that day, and the area he described, I basically went to the Soho one, and they were in the what's
Were
the
they in Fight Eye?
Cross?
Hudson Square?
Yeah, and went to the wrong one, sprinted to the other one, showed up 5 minutes late, and they just didn't let me in the
5 minutes late for solid core?
That's
Is
what
it
I-
that deep?
that deep. They literally have a sign saying
Oh.
if you're 5 minutes late, you're not allowed. I'm like, all right.
Ugh, that's annoying.
I
but
know. I feel like there's just so much like these classes are like this whole cult. We went to
Solid
for,
core, you can't book. It's so hard to book. Yeah.
for Caroline's birthday. We all went to
Shout out.
shout out Caroline for her birthday. We all went to
Soul Cycle.
Soul Cycle.
That was
that
hilarious.
place-
Like 10 of us. This
That place
guy
was
that
scaring me.
that
so
was
much.
the famous instructor.
Yeah, maybe. But these ladies are like whacking themselves. With
They're
the
like
towel.
screaming. Oh,
I've also done. We did a team soul cycle when I was at Goldman, and that I've only done. I didn't love that workout, so I've only
I
done it
don't
the
love it.
one time. But have you done Y7 yoga?
yep.
What are your thoughts on that one?
It was all right. I did sculpt class.
Okay,
I like core power sculpt, I think, better.
I've never done core power. That's on the list. Y7 was interesting because I feel like it's less of a. The reason I love ID yoga is like they actually will correct you when you're doing things wrong. It's
Yeah.
like more of a strength one. Y7, you literally walk. That's another one where if you show up even a minute late,
Yeah, you're done.
they do not
Yeah.
let you in. They turn the lights
That's the
off.
worst thing you can have for Finn.
drives me nuts.
It's
It's like I
crazy.
paid for the class. Like you're still getting my money. Like I
Yeah.
should be able to. I
think
get
the
it
idea
though.
is
You
like
don't
the-
want to like
yeah.
disrupt.
Yeah,
it.
shit happens with
But it's
schedules.
like
Like,
people
life,
work.
life happens.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Minor inconvenience.
But that one is like you get
I was
in
on a
there.
minor. I just had to walk home with my tail between my legs. I feel like an idiot.
But Y7, I don't love that because again, I'm not still newer to yoga. They don't really like instruct you on the poses. They just say names and expect you to know how to
Yeah.
do it. And then
annoying.
they're like, oh, this is the flow. Now do it, do it, do it. And there's no instructor like, oh, you should be doing that differently, fix your form. So I don't think I'm gonna go back to Y7. But I had like a 3 class pass that I wanted to use, so that's why I used it.
Nice.
When I remember growing up for like training in the summers, our strength coach, not at Princeton, but like when I was back in Toronto, used to do MMA on Fridays.
Wow.
And so it was like you'd run through like what they would do a conditioning workout, which is impossible, so hard, but then also do like punching at the end. I remember I would wake up the next day and under my arm, I couldn't even move my arm.
Right now, my back is because the whole time you need to keep your hands.
Yeah.
Down, which are the things you don't think about. But yes, if you're fighting someone, definitely don't put your hands down. And the guy like doesn't let you put your hands down. He just it's a great workout.
Sure, yeah.
Boxing has actually been super fun.
I would try it.
I want to get to a point where I can actually spar.
Beat the
I'm
shit out of
I'm a
someone.
long way away, but it's been fun.
Wait, my brother's traveling in Asia right now. He was at a like full boxing ring, headgear, full. You get free beers if you go in the ring. So he just hopped in the ring and fought some random kid I think in Thailand.
Did he win?
He said no. He said he couldn't move his arms by the third round. Lost a unanimous decision. We woke up to this
Free beers.
video, and I was like, "There's no way." Like it seemed like a very like. I'll show you the video.
At least he didn't get knocked out. That's funny.
So he said when he put up his hand to fight, the other kid they had, who his hand up was some like super small dude, and then he walked in the ring and it was like a huge guy. And he's like, what did I get myself into?
Yeah, so I guess we say all that to say, mix up the workouts, throw in the workout classes.
Yeah.
The fact that my new job lets me, because I get in slightly later, I can do a 7 a.m. workout class. That's a game changer.
Slightly later relative to your old job.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because my first meeting is still at 8:45, but the fact that I can play basketball at 7 a.m. still being by 8:45, all these things are huge. So it's fun.
How about the golf?
Oh, the golf. I just recently got back on my journey to Tiger. I would love an invite to golf with y'all.
We should,
I'm
yeah.
serious.
Well,
we
when
should-
we
when the
play,
weather
we'll
gets
play.
nice, yeah.
Yeah, I would do also like a
We
5
could do a
iron.
5-iron.
No free
yeah,
ads.
yeah, let's run that too because I'm obviously still not great, but that's
Doesn't
It
though.
doesn't matter.
like I'm such a I get addicted to things And even just going and when I'm still not good, but it's still so fun. When I hit like 5 balls in a row that feel good, it's
Yeah.
just such an addictive.
Golf
That's
is the
how it
most
works.
addicting sport.
It's
Yeah.
so golf. But I felt that way about golf, about yoga, about boxing. I'm just like
It's great.
I'm just an addictive personality.
I'm
I
the
guess.
exact same way. Yeah.
Those are pretty good things to be addicted to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It could be cocaine.
Those are some good vices.
Yeah, it could be worse. But okay, another development since moving to the city that I've hinted at is you both are in relationships now. How did that happen?
I think that's what we ask ourselves every day.
Yeah, so for me, so my girlfriend's name's Kristen. Shout out Kristen. Second shout out. So yeah, I mean, I think Finn and I were both single through college, and I think that was all like part of the college experience. I think there was a point where I don't know about like ready, but if it was like the right girl that came along, like would definitely explore. And what ended up happening with us, which was really nice in like this kind of dating app culture, which is obviously fine, but for us, what ended up happening was we just had mutual friends. We had one of my friends was seeing one of her friends, and I had a birthday party. So this was my second full year living in New York City. I had a party. My brother, shout out to my brother, who's a DJ, just actually came out with 2 new songs last night. Also, shout out.
What are the ads? Where can people find them? Give them the details.
His same last name as me, Ufberg, all
Shocker,
caps,
really?
Spotify. Find him on Spotify, 3 songs total.
Beautiful.
So he was DJing at a place called Somewhere Nowhere in New York in Flatiron, and I had a table set up, invited all my friends, and
Okay, table set.
yeah, table set up. I wasn't the one. Everyone was paying. I wasn't paying for it myself. But so yeah, her friend and my friend were both coming, so she ended up coming, and we ended up being introduced to each other and started seeing each other since then. So that was the end of September. Saw each other a bunch until December when I asked her out, and the rest is history.
The rest is history.
The rest is history. And now we're a year and a half in. It's been great.
That's crazy.
You guys all know her very well.
But yeah, it's also funny. I feel like when Mike and I tell people that we have girlfriends, because everyone used to like think of us as like a couple. Like when we were walking around, it'd just be like Finn.
Well, when we heard that Finn was going to be moving to New York, Kristen's like, okay, well now I'm going to have to third wheel.
But yeah, I mean, mine, like Megan.
Shout out,
Meg.
Megan.
Shout out.
She's here right now, actually, in New York. But when I moved to Chicago, as I said, I didn't really know that many people. I met a couple friends. I moved beginning of March, and then it was St. Patrick's Day. And I guess I remember I was at like a Blackhawks game, and she just like followed me on Instagram. I had no idea why. I guess she'd seen me on like a dating. I have no idea why she decided to follow me. But I remember I've never DM'd a girl, I don't think, in my life on Instagram, really. I hope not. But then I was like, what are you doing for St. Patrick's Day? And then she was like, going here.
Riz.
Yeah, not the best.
But it works. So keep going.
And I just met her at the bar at St. Patrick's Day, and then kind of from there we kept seeing each other. And I don't think like I was maybe at that point in the frame of mind like, oh, I'm looking for a girl. I knew I'd be moving, but I think for me it's always been like, if you find the right person, like why not? And so, I mean, obviously she's in Chicago, but I think with how much I work, sometimes that makes a long distance easier. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's like I can also go work out of the Chicago office, and it's been great so far.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought? And I love how organic both those stories are. Because that just shows you that it can happen.
For sure.
Even when you're not looking for it, things just can happen that naturally. And again, I missed that memo where it was, okay, we're all trying to find girlfriends right now. Like my roommate, some of my other really good friends, everyone, I just look up, boom, girlfriends everywhere.
It's like one of those things I feel like as you move through your 20s and you get into your later 20s, I feel like I was even noticing when I was single, it seemed like a lot of people had a significant other. Whereas like, I know it seems like a lot and it probably is more than you're used to, but when you don't have one, I think it just seems like there are a lot of people that have significant others.
Especially I remember Valentine's Day when I was walking home from work and I was just looking at all these couples. I'm like, I missed the fucking memo. I missed the memo, but it's okay. Happy for everyone. It'll happen for me when it's
100%.
We're not rushing anything.
I don't think you're in trouble by any means.
Yeah, no, I'm a 25. I'm a highly eligible.
You're 25?
25.
Same, bro.
Yeah, I guess. I'm turning 28 in September.
Damn.
I said it to one of our girlfriends the other weekend. They're like, you're going to be 28? I'm like, yeah, I mean, we've been friends for 6 years. You knew that I was almost 4 years older than you. No, is Gabby?
Gabby
am I before
always,
you?
she always.
Oh, she does always chirp me for being older.
How was that? It was Gabby Hamilton.
It was not Gabby Hamburger.
Who was it?
It was the Steve-O's.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said your friend Gabby.
Yeah.
Shout out Indian Lucy.
Shout out.
Shout out everybody. And then speaking of love, even the fact that we've gone to friend weddings. Our friend Amy.
Yeah.
Shout out Amy and Kenny.
Shout out. Newest Cleveland Browns
You know,
quarterback.
Kenny has also had a great golf journey. You should talk to him about it.
Yes.
I need him
This
on
is
the
first
podcast.
time.
I'll literally.
Oh, yeah, true.
You
Yeah,
should.
Kenny's never been on.
It's good. We've been on twice, but an NFL quarterback hasn't been on
Kevin's
yet.
been on twice. Y'all been on twice. Kenny, you coming on the. He never's in New York though.
Yeah.
I don't think he loves
doesn't
New
like
York.
But next time you see, we'll get. Or we still need to go to Florida.
Yeah.
I know.
So
Well, I don't know how much longer they're going to be there for
Yeah,
because I
they
think
have
like
to
mini
move,
camp and all that stuff's
Yeah.
going to start soon.
And we might
I was supposed to see them, but then they ended up going on vacation, and I had to like come back early when I was down there.
But when we first played with them, like I don't think he played. Honestly, none of us really played growing up, but we got really into golf our junior year. Because our season got canceled and we just played at the Princeton course like every day. And then Kenny got super into it. I guess like probably that last year he was at Pitt, maybe. I'm not sure, but like how good he has gotten from the first time I golfed with him. It was
Very
like,
impressive.
I didn't even and he loves it too.
Yeah.
Like he
He
was
was bit by the bug.
when he was in Philly, he would just go every day.
I think in the summer they were going like 3-4 days a week.
Didn't he say like Saquon
Loves golf.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champs.
Shout out Saquon. Shout out Kenny, Super Bowl champion. We're manifesting. Gonna crush it at the Browns.
Yeah. I'm excited. We'll have to. I don't think the Browns play the Eagles this year, which means
we're going to Cleveland.
we're going to Cleveland. We went to Pittsburgh when he was there, obviously Philly, and now Cleveland. It's good. I've actually, fun fact, my first year I was working on this deal, I had gone to Cleveland 3 times in 4 months, twice in 2 days. So I will take us all around in Cleveland.
You can show Kenny around. I hope you send him some recommendations.
I think he's probably got it figured out.
But okay, we could even boom.
What was your first question? I feel like
I was gonna ask a question,
their
sort of about like
weddings, yeah.
weddings and all that. But then I looked at the time and I was like, honestly, it's okay. There's a lot of hockey stuff I want to get to, so we're gonna transition right to the hockey.
Yep.
Reason being, anyone who watches, I'm a sports fan, so like you see the Alex Ovechkin about to pass Wayne Gretzky. Because I'm not a hockey guy, I don't think I appreciate the greatness of all these people. So first, Wayne Gretzky. Obviously, what's his nickname?
The Great One?
The Great One. As a non-hockey fan, or even for non-sports fans, how would you contextualize his greatness?
I mean, it'd basically be like if you think of basketball, LeBron just broke the scoring record, right?
Yeah, last season.
So for him, it'd be like if LeBron, I mean, assists are harder to come by in basketball than they are in hockey. But like Wayne Gretzky had more assists than anyone else had like scoring and assists combined. So it's like, I feel like I did a poor job at explaining that, but it's like, even with missing one half of like the stat column, he had more than the next person combined. He is just like by far statistically the best player of all time.
The most dominant in your own sport.
Exactly. I think like when you look across the board, he has had the most separation between him and any other player than in any other sport. Like even Messi, Ronaldo, like they don't really come close. And the craziest thing about it is he wasn't like physically dominant at all. He wasn't like the fastest skater, had the hardest shot. He was just like the smartest player. So it was like an interest. We also didn't grow up watching him, so it's tough to say.
It's harder. But also what's amazing is if you watch highlights of the game when he was in the game, there was way more scoring back then. And so what people would always say before Ovechkin is about to break the record, at least tied it now, is there's no way anyone will ever come close because there were just, let's say on average 10 goals a game versus now might be like 7. Goalies have gotten way better. The game has just changed a ton. And so with how hard it is to score, to see Ovechkin about to break the record is like completely
it's probably
incredible.
more impressive, the goal thing that Ovechkin did it in this era than Gretzky did it back then.
It is.
It is for sure. But Gretzky's goals compared to assists is like not even close. Like it's
that's the whole
exactly. It's like Ovechkin tied one of his records, but still nobody will ever come close to like his assists.
It's also crazy. I was watching SportsCenter last night. Ovechkin did it in one less game.
That's what's also
It's
insane.
crazy. How are they that close?
He also, the way he plays, so he's 6'3", 230. He plays physical.
Who's he? Gretzky or
Ovechkin, sorry, yeah. And he's not known to necessarily take care of his body the best. He's like known to have like soda on the bench. Doesn't care. He always says like, I don't care what I eat. And so whatever, 15 straight seasons of however many goals. It's just, it's all so incredible.
It's incredible. Yeah.
And even another one in baseball. I saw this again on SportsCenter last night, where Aaron Judge got the same
Saw
number of they both got to the certain number of home runs for the Yankees. He and Babe Ruth. Sorry, again. Let me start again because I can't speak English. Aaron Judge and Babe Ruth both got to like 300 home runs in like the exact same number of games. I forget the number of home runs.
Wow.
But it's so crazy how these things will
Yeah.
so many years apart through different
It's
generations.
insane.
And then I guess so is Gretzky like the undisputed GOAT?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of, like Mario Lemieux is a good example. He probably would have been up there with Gretzky, in those statistics, but he had like a shortened career because he had cancer. Middle of his career, came back. He actually, fun fact about him, as part of he was with the Pittsburgh Penguins, which is like a very historic organization now, but at the time when they drafted him, they were like in the dumps. And as part of his contract, I think his second contract, he was given a chunk of the team.
Wow.
Like a small percentage.
Small percentage.
But
But
small
now
And now
percentage
it's like
small percentage of a multi-billion
But he was
organization.
that he was that
equity.
good, and he had like
Wow.
bad back problems. But he probably would have been the one who would have like statistically been able to get on that level. But you look at players now, like Connor McDavid's probably
Yeah, I was
the
gonna say
best-
who's the GOAT today?
Connor McDavid. He's like the best. I think it would be everyone would agree on this. Is like maybe there's a different conversation for best all time in their era, but like in terms of the best player to ever play hockey, he's probably it. I would think.
Why do you think? And
Just
this
like in
is-
terms of his skill
and for me, this again, as a non like core hockey fan, and as a big basketball fan, in basketball, there's always that like GOAT debate, but it doesn't seem like in other sports people really get that vicious about those conversations.
good. Yeah.
Why do you think that is when it comes? Maybe is it because maybe Gretzky is so undisputed that there is not even a need to engage in the conversation?
I think that's part of it. I think that the game, I know basketball, I'm not as like much of an expert, but I would say, I think because the game is so different is a big part too. It's like Gretzky, GOAT of his time right now. Connor McDavid is definitely the best, but overall, like in terms of respect and statistic, it's like you just can't ignore the fact that Wayne Gretzky will always be the great one. Now, there is a chance, like the path that McDavid is on, and at his age, like maybe by 40 or 45, if he's still playing, you never know like what kind of records could be broken. And yes, like right now, he's undisputed the best player in the game right now. But I feel like part of it is a respecting. I don't know if you disagree, but
I think it's also like people just care less. To be honest, like hockey is such a team.
such a sport.
So like
yeah, it's a
if
good
you're
point.
in basketball, your star player is playing the entire game, and the ball is running through him like pretty much. Obviously, unless it's like a center,
Yeah.
but still, even in those cases, like it's them. Like if you have one star, that can bring you to the championship, as you've seen with like LeBron, like when he was, I guess, wherever he's been, but more at the beginning of his career when he was in like Cleveland, like that can change the entire team, and so they can drag you to the finals. Whereas like in the hockey world, it's like a full team sport, so you could have the best player in the world, and if you don't have the right like supporting cast or like certain pieces, your team is gonna be terrible.
Yeah, and I like that you both brought out the word respect because that's another thing. Where especially in the NBA, that's the one where the generations will just come at each other so much for no reason, and you don't see that as much in other sports.
And
So that's just.
I think it
interesting-
also makes it individualistic, and maybe I didn't play basketball. I played, so there's a complete bias there. But it's like everything's about me, me, me. That's what it seems like. Sometimes it's like I want to take this shot because I want to be known as the guy who took this shot. I don't want people saying this. Or I think like hockey, it's like that would never be a thing.
Perfect segue into the next thing that I was going to ask about is, and I'll talk about the four nations face off next, but I was going to ask the question of what does hockey get right that other sports should and could emulate? It sounds like that right there.
And I say this too, and it's like I feel like people are, but it's like basketball players too. A lot of the guys, like I mean, we didn't know the Princeton guys well, but like great dudes. I think I'm more so speaking just about like the NBA, like the culture that is in the NBA. It seems a lot about like it's all about me sometimes, and I don't know
load management, all these things
Load
where
management.
It seems like the passion for the game, which actually that now's the perfect time to
Yeah.
bring up this tournament that happened. Which again, as I've said a few times, I'm not a hockey fan. When I tell you I was so dialed into that Four Nations,
I love that.
because I'm
Nice.
just a sports fan, and so I will appreciate
Yeah.
when there's some great competition going on.
Yep.
The fact that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was in place of the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was 4 of the best teams in the world, and USA, Canada are always going to be the top 2.
Yeah.
All the star players were playing, and there was as much intensity in every single game as if it was like a Stanley Cup final.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like a
Totally.
playoff game. And so I just appreciated that so much from being not a real basketball fan who you watch a lot of the games. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of effort. There's a lot of load management. The All-Star game has gone to shit. They
Yep.
keep trying to revamp that because the players don't put in any type of effort.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, it was such a breath of fresh air to see the best in the sport
Yeah.
going at it and
Totally.
caring so deeply. And obviously there was a nationalistic aspect of things too, which adds a different level. But it was just such a cool concept to witness as a sports fan. period.
Yeah. Hockey did a great job with that tournament. I think hockey's been growing the game little by little. And to your question before about what hockey gets right, I think there's just such a unique camaraderie to it. And I think a big reason for that is like the locker room that we have. And so the way that I grew up and the way that I was coached, one by my dad, but also just like other coaches, that the locker room is for the players only. No matter if you're like 8 years old or 18 years old, the locker room is your sacred space. And just the way that the culture is and the way you grow up and the way you're coached, like everything's about the team. Everything's about you always hear like the boys are this guy's a beauty, blah, blah, blah. Like there's a huge, it's such a team first culture that I think that's what hockey gets right. And then, yeah, I think the Four Nations was unbelievable.
Awesome.
We haven't had, so I think the last Olympics, it wasn't NHL players.
The last 2.
The last 2. So we haven't had best versus best in the sport in 8 years. And so they had a great idea, like right when football was done, right? And there are other sports going on, but like this was the perfect time to have an event like this. And I think it was obviously amazing.
Yeah.
And I think too, like growing up, I mean, you said USA, Canada are always at the top, which is definitely true. And I think from a young age, like it's always like the World Junior Tournament. I think that does a great job at starting that kind of rivalry, because in basically when you're like under 21, they host a tournament every year. Similar thing, like best on best of all countries, and it actually gets like great viewership, and it's like very important in the hockey community. And I think that kind of starts these like rival, like a lot of the time the Canadian players hate the American player. Like they'll play on not the American
That's
player.
great. We need that in the
love it. You
sports.
should
Yeah,
have
we need that. We need that.
So
That's
it's
actually, wait, sorry, go ahead.
no, yeah, and so I think it's just like a lot of these like a lot of the American guys especially grew up playing for the National Development Program, which is like they play as Team USA since they're like 16.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's always that like national pride. So anytime they put on the jersey, it's almost like a flip switches. Even if you're playing like your best, that's the funniest thing about hockey too. I think similar in other sports, but like if I played Mike in a game, I would try to kill him in the game, and he
He wouldn't be able to, but
but he would like
Even
there's a
practice, too,
respect
like,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, practice. Like if Mike was pissing me off in practice, like I'd go try to kill him.
I love that's how it should be.
Yeah.
It's that rivalry, that intensity.
And then
every
practice
time you-
over, and it's like
Back
nothing
to
ever
normal.
happened.
yeah. I mean, that's what you see it in hockey right now with Four Nations. Like maybe like the 2 guys that are on the same team of Four Nations, they might have fought each other yesterday,
Yeah.
but then they're playing for the country and they're playing to win.
Yeah.
So that's what's amazing.
That's amazing. I think we just got down to some of the root causes, which is one, the team centered nature of it as opposed to the individual level focus, and that in and of itself can make such a big difference in culture and in the intensity that's put out through the product and all that. So
Yeah.
very interesting. Shout out hockey, man.
Yeah.
And we got the Olympics next winter are going to be unbelievable because this was really just warming you up for the
Precursor
Olympics
for
next
the
year. Yeah.
Olympics,
I mean, it'll be interesting. I think the hockey will be unbelievable, but the difference is when you play. So this was hosted by the NHL, this Four Nations tournament. So like NHL rules, so fighting, all of that, you can't fight in IHF.
True.
Like I thought that brought I think it might not be as important because people are already going to be like motivated. But when they started off with 3 fights,
that's
I think
Oh,
that just, like,
electric.
I remember I was up for dinner with my girlfriend, and I was just like glued. And I was like, she's like, "What are you doing?"
2 more questions, then we'll do the song segment. When it comes to live sporting experiences, where do you think hockey ranks? Because I have my answer as a non-hockey fan, which I've said so.
Well, we're gonna be biased. Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely the best. Like, I love football. I love watching football. We watch every game together. We're couch watchers.
I mean live is in like at the stadium.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
In
so
the
I'm
arena.
ruling out. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Okay.
it's kind of a process of elimination where it's
Yeah.
like the only other sport that I really love as much, to be honest, is football, and like that's a couch sport. So hockey's electric. Baseball, it's like I can go for 6 innings. and basketball, it's fun. But yeah, I think hockey live is there's nothing
I
like
agree.
it.
I've been to 2 NFL games in my life. The one with Pittsburgh was obviously awesome because I think we were with all of our friends. But like I remember I went to a Patriots game 2 years ago and I'm like, dude, this kind of stinks. Like I'm just sitting in the stands waiting for like when you're sitting on your couch, you see every single replay.
Yeah.
I think basketball would be really cool if you're like on the floor. I've never done that before myself, but
No.
I think it would be cool. And I remember I went to a Raptors like Cleveland game when the Raptors were really good. And was it Cleveland? I don't care. Maybe one of the teams LeBron was on at the time. And it was electric, super fun. But yeah, I still think hockey, or I'd love to go to a playoff baseball game too. But I think average regular season game, I'd say
Hockey.
You know, and even on that point, I agree. I don't think it gets talked about enough how the live football experience is not good
No.
at all.
I don't love it unless you're like really close.
But
But even that, though,
but even then, like
you're not really seeing things develop.
The
Yeah.
angles are always kind of shit. There's so many. You realize how many breaks there are.
So much dead time.
So much dead
Oh.
time when you're actually there in person. So football, unless we're going to see someone like our friends play, and maybe like the Super Bowl. But even I know someone who went to the Super Bowl and she was like, even that was like, yeah, it's the Super Bowl, but like the actual viewing of the game, not that great.
Yeah.
So it's but for me, one of the perks of my last job is we had arenas, like seats at all the arenas nearby. Our seats at the Islanders are on the glass.
Oh, cool.
That was probably my single favorite sporting experience. Our
Nice.
Knicks seats are also really good, but just the energy of hockey, especially when you're close up, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it's funny how, again, I'm not a huge fan of like the sport generally. The live hockey experience, the couple games I've been to have been amazing. And then
Should have come to more Princeton men's hockey games.
I should have.
I don't think
If you want to be close to if you want to be close to the ice, that's where
you
you
can walk right up. There's no one there.
And actually, yeah, basketball, I think for me would be second. Playoff baseball looks electric.
Yeah.
I've done college. No, I was gonna say I want to do college football, but that would be.
I would do college football. Yeah.
Because I think viewing football in the stadium is just not great.
No.
But college basketball is great. But for me, I think hockey, basketball, are like 1A, 1B.
Nice.
And then last thing before we get to the song segment, how do we in this room? We have a Canadian and an American. How do we solve U.S.-Canada tensions?
Well, I think it's mostly an American problem at this point. But it's just my perspective. I don't know. I think it's unfortunate because I think, like, it almost seemed like there's nothing wrong.
Yeah,
there's a
literally.
problem. But I mean, with that stuff, it's like, I mean, that was definitely a shift when I moved to the U.S. Is just from a political perspective. Like, there's a lot more emphasis on like, who did you vote for? Blah blah, blah all this stuff, which I get because it's more polarizing parties. Obviously, Canada is more centralized and more left, I would say, just in general. But it's like, I don't know. I struggle with it because I'm like, I just want to hang out with my friends and like I agree. I get that people have like very strong feelings about, but it's like that would never like. If Mike and I have different political opinions, like we talked. This was honestly awesome throughout school. We would talk about this stuff all the time.
Just a little pillow talk.
Well, yeah, a little pillow talk. When I'm waiting for Mike we'd be in bunk beds and we'd be talking, and then middle of conversation, Mike would fall asleep and he just starts snoring so loud. But I don't know. I think it's like just having the ability to have a conversation about everything. I'm obviously not a big fan of the Canada-US stuff right now, but it's also like, it's not going to affect my relationship with like my friends. I don't know.
I think the majority of people are not a fan of this like
tension.
I don't feel the tension. Like maybe if I was an American to go into Canada, like maybe they'd look at me a little bit. Like my roommate just went to Europe and he said sometimes like they'll look at you like a little bit. I like cross-eyed, but like
when I travel and they'll be like, oh, American, I'll be like Canadian. They'll be like, you can tell they're like excited.
I think sometimes, I don't think that's like, I've also like grown up traveling a lot and like there have been times of that, but I feel like mostly it's still not. And like, I think we still have a good reputation, I would say internationally, at least hopefully. But like for me in my day to day, it's just, I think it's more up to the people like to make their own decision. Like you don't have to like listen to someone or you know, it's your friends, and I think the majority of the people hopefully don't like feel tension.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, with most of these things, it's like the most senior people in our countries who are like going at each other. I would hope that again, everyday people who are
they're not a representation.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think so.
So that's why they're just all like, yeah. out of nowhere, unnecessary, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
With that being said, that was literally the most political slightly I've ever gone on
There
the
you
show. Song segment.
It's actually one of my runner-up songs, but
I have my guests come with 5 songs to describe who they is a person, open for interpretation. Each of you say the song and say the reason you chose it, and you can just run down the list, and then we will be done.
No, you go first.
you want me to go
I
first?
want you to go first.
This was fun.
Thank you.
My first one's Have You Ever Seen the Rain, CCR. And so great song. I think for me, so I used
I
to
always think of the scene in I never mind, sorry. The other
I,
guys, you know, like it was
Wh-
like
which movie?
PCR? Never mind.
sorry. I think for me growing up, I did a lot of driving for hockey. My parents drove me everywhere and we listened to a lot of classic rock. And I would say to this day, I do enjoy classic rock. And I think a big part of that is from those car rides. And I think this was always a song that would come on. And I just like really got into it. And just reminds me of those days of driving from Philly to Boston or Philly to the Northeast. Shout out Kristen. Number 2, Ticking by Zach Bryan. That was just big Zach Bryan fan. I think at the time that we started dating, Ticking was a song from a new album. And just we have seen Zach Bryan together. Just a song that every time it comes on, it like kind of brings us back to like the early days of the relationships.
Kristen.
Flo, number 3. It's never gonna leave this list. It's
Dreams
our
and
first
Nightmares.
ever Dreams and Nightmares. It's
Go
never gonna leave.
Birds!
It's never gonna leave. And like second Super Bowl, obviously amazing. It's just there's nothing. Anytime you hear that song, you just think about the first.
The first one.
Chasing You, number 4.
It's a good one.
That was so like love Morgan Wallen. I think for us, country music was a big part of our college experience. Reminds me of college. A lot of car rides, a lot of beer die outside. Just good reminder of times and good reminder of good times. And then my last one, shout out Ufberg, Spotify. Find him 3 songs. My brother's first ever released song called Culture. Just special. I've seen my brother 10 years ago. Is probably when he picked up enjoyment of like house music and that type of music. And to see him come this far and actually release a song on Spotify was very cool. So it's my number 5.
Love it.
Very
Benner,
cool.
wrap us up.
All right, mine are like kind of random, but my first 2 are kind of when I grew up. We had like a summer cottage. Like I guess you haven't been to my cottage, but it's like no electricity, nothing, just kind of like on a rock in northern Ontario. And I think for a lot of like my childhood, that was the one place where I was like, I'd either be at the hockey rink at school, or then in the summers, it was kind of the only time where I was like maybe living a little more. And I remember my uncle would always play like the guitar growing up, one of my favorite things ever. He would always play like Bob Dylan. So Blowing in the Wind is one of my
Nice.
favorite songs. And then this also, which Mike knows, but you might know, it's the song We Kings by the Tragically Hip.
That's
There
my
you go.
runner up.
So it's a Canadian band that's like very famous in Canada, but never really made it to the US for whatever reason. A lot of their songs are about like Canadian history, Canadian culture. But I just think when I think about that, I think about like growing up and like awesome times. And I also just love like the Tragically Hip as a band. One of my songs is a random one, is Doses and Mimosas.
Great song.
Wow.
Because I just
That
love
reminds me
like
of
the
Princeton.
vibe. It
Wow.
reminds me of like being with your friends, just like about to start your day. Like we're gonna have
It's
a
good day
great
drink coming up.
Yeah, we're driving in the car, like that comes on. You're like, all right.
That reminds me of like a Princeton Darty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I have Sand in My Boots. Similar thing to Mike.
Wow.
We used to listen to that.
Every song. Wow.
It's so interesting.
But
We should have done a guessing one before we
Yeah,
actually said it.
Exactly. I mean, I can tell a story after too, but that song just brings back to like a lot of our friends, a lot of good times. I feel like I was telling Florin before I walked in here, it's like it's hard to pick songs like about you, and it's more songs about like times in your life
Totally.
that you look back on, you hear that song. And then this is the random one I put on. This one doesn't really have as much meaning, but I've been listening to this song every time I work out, and I just love like Levels by Big X the Plug.
I don't even know that song.
It's a great song, just gets me fired up. So maybe that's my last one, a little bit random. But the story I was about to tell when Mike was like, what she did on the guessing is we did a bar crawl, or have you heard
Oh,
of
yeah.
Chicken Chase?
No.
It's basically this thing where you go with a group of friends, 2 people at the chickens, they wear like a chicken outfit, and you pick a bar. You pick a group of like 10 bars in a certain location, and then the chickens go to one, and the other ones have to find the chicken somewhere. That chicken is like all the other people's money, essentially. Each person has like 20 bucks.
How many people are in the event?
Like 20. And the rule though is if you go to one of the bars and they're not there, you have to have a drink there. And so we did.
Wait,
this.
do they have to stay in the same place?
Yes.
Okay.
So we did this with a bunch of the Princeton people. And me and India Stevenson went to a bar and sat by ourselves. We basically had other people's money because the rule is when you find them, you get to join in on like the pot.
Mm-hmm.
We sat there for 4 hours and just drank by ourselves. And then everyone else in the group went to every single other bar
Except the one you were at.
except the one they were at. They found us. At the end of the day, I go, Mike, out of these names of bars, which one do you think I would have gone to within 10 seconds?
I said, assuming I know nothing about like what the bar scene is or like what the vibe is like, and I'm just like hair of the dog.
I love it. Well, guys, that's the episode. I know love having y'all on. You're welcome whenever.
Super fun. Last thing, I actually meant to say this because you brought up the American Canadian riff or tension, and it was one of my runner-up songs was "We Kings." And I was gonna say you just need Americans to listen to more tragically hip songs, and then you'll solve the tension. But no, appreciate it, Flo. It's awesome.
Of course. Do y'all have any final words for the people?
No, thank you for having us on.
You're doing great work here.
Yes.
I love. You're such a natural.
Thank you.
Reps Capital.
Reps Capital coming so soon, guys. That when it comes, you won't be able to miss it. We're literally about to start. It's gonna ideally launch in the next 2 months. We're aiming for mid-June, but very exciting lifestyle brand. My friend Mo and I have been working on. Very excited for people to see it.
First few customers right here.
Yeah,
Love it. This has been another episode
Thanks,
of Go With
Flo.
The Flow. Thank you for listening.
Appreciate it.
Boom.